Hey Scorpio, it's Jen here from tarotspirit.net here for your March 2016 tarot reading. So today I'm going to draw 3 cards from the Shadowscapes Tarot for the work category, and then I'll draw some for relationships and then do an overall oracle card for a final message. So let's jump right in. So at the bottom of the deck in the work category, we have the Page of Cups. So pages are new beginnings and messages in the suit that they're in, and cups is a suit of emotions. So having the Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck can mean that that you're going to get a message, but being at the bottom of the deck, I feel like it's like you want a new beginning in sort of a new emotional atmosphere or feel at work. You want things that you want change in the and how things feel at work, or you want to hear some good news or supportive news about your job so that you have the feeling there is emotionally supportive and positive. So the first card is the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles, I like to think of this card as being about boundaries. Traditionally, it's the Miser card. It shows someone that's just hoarding and clinging really tight to their money, someone who's like super cheap and materialistic and worries about their money over other people. But I expand that to be about boundaries. Um, and sometimes you have too strong of boundaries in the case of that person I just described, and sometimes your boundaries can be too loose and people can sort of take advantage of you or bully you or not be disrespectful, I guess is the best way. You can allow people, your boundaries can be too loose where people can be disrespectful. Now, boundaries in the workplace are very, very difficult. And if you work in a place where there aren't very clear processes, it makes it even more difficult because then people are sort of left for their own interpretation of whose job is what and who's supposed to be doing what, and it can create areas of conflict that are very difficult because part of it, you're there to do a job, so you're supposed to do what people want, but there is a point where everyone's like, that is unacceptable to me. And so if when you're at a job, I would try to get it really clearly defined, like whose job is what and what are the expectations. And if those are not, maybe if the expectations are sort of set but they're not being followed, um, talk to your supervisor if you can. And try to, sometimes just having a meeting with people and just having a workflow of does what is helpful. And then we have the Seven of Cups. So I feel like you guys may be daydreaming about other jobs and other opportunities and how it would feel better, and sort of daydreaming and wishing for things to be different. But you're not really sure. It's like, I want a new job, I want to feel better, but you're just not really sure exactly which direction to go to. It doesn't feel like there's a clear-cut direction to head. And I think that's what that Page of Cups at the bottom of the deck is. You want a clear-cut message or opportunity or to help guide you, to help you make your decision. And the next card, we have the Empress. So this is a lovely card. This is abundance. It's Mother Earth. It's nurturing. And so she would be an interesting manager. She would be a manager that she wouldn't be a micromanager. She would support and nurture and guide, but she wouldn't take over. and she would be very fruitful and abundant. So I feel like this may be an influence that comes into to your world that helps nurture and foster one of these ideas or daydreams that you come con, sorry stumble upon some kind of, speaking of stumbling, I'm stumbling over my words, meet with someone that helps give you some kind of guidance. So you may want to talk to a headhunter. You may want to seek out this Empress person. Talk to human resources. Maybe LinkedIn could be an option for you. Sort of a career counselor, a life coach, someone like that can really help you sort of take all these different ideas that you're daydreaming about and nurture, try to figure out which one seems like a better fit, and sort of nurture that and help you grow things in that direction. I mean, you can see the butterflies, it's transformative, it's nurturing and helping to set things off on a new course. So I see a lot of soul searching this month in the career department, where you may really be feeling that, if you're in a situation where you feel like your boundaries are being, are not comfortable for you, and you're just not sort of happy, excuse me, finding a way to really explore a career in which you would be happy. Okay, now we're going to pick 3 cards. I'm sorry. From the Silver Witchcraft Tarot for relationships. And I'll look at the bottom of the deck as well. On the bottom here, we have the 8 of Wands, and this is a very fast-moving card. As you can see, this person's flying so fast, his hair's flying back, and it's, this fiery wands energy, so things happen very swiftly. This often points to a message, but I see it as just all of a sudden an opportunity, something changes. So in the relationship position, you just all of a sudden meet someone, and it can be funny because even if like you've been going on dates, or maybe you do the online thing if you're single or whatever, all of a sudden you just meet this person, and you're almost like, even though you've wanted to meet someone, you're sort of freaked out because it seemed to happen so fast, even though you've been dating, if that makes any sense. Or maybe you've been with someone for a while, and they ask you to marry them, and even though you've talked about it, when it happens, you're just kind of like, holy crap, this seems like it's happening. So it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but it may seem to have been so fast, you almost feel like you don't have time to process it. But it's a very positive card. So maybe some more abrupt than you realize changes may be happening in relationships this month. And that's interesting. It's balanced with this very slow change of the Knight of Pentacles. So he brings about change in home, family, can be work as well. So maybe there's a connection between the changes you want at work and relationships outside of work. But he's methodical and he's slow about things. So maybe you're with someone that you never thought would like ask you to move in with them or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like you're going to get married and have a baby, or it just seems to, all of a sudden things are moving forward quickly, and you're like, oh, you're almost unprepared because it's been slow in coming, if that makes any sense. And then you have the 10 of Wands. So something has felt like a burden in your relationships. You've felt overburdened, and like part of it has been a chore. So whenever you're feeling this way in a relationship, it's really important to try to have a conversation about it. And sometimes we avoid these conversations because these are the types of conversations that could actually run the risk of ruining a relationship. And that's why you avoid it. And you've got probably become so overburdened because you're afraid to ask your partner to take on some of the load or, something like that. So when this comes up in a relationship, I feel like this is sort of sets up for maybe you need to have a difficult conversation this month. But I think, once you have it, if you can um, be careful about, or just be conscious and kind and look to look for a solution instead of blame. Like, this is how I'm feeling, and you know, can you help me think of a way we could work? You may find that your partner is super into helping you out. They just had no idea. They're completely just clueless that you're feeling that way and maybe even feel really bad about it. Um, and if you're single, it can't just be like you're feeling, maybe you're just feeling a little down about being single and feeling like it's a burden, but um, maybe take some practical steps. This is a very practical card to get out there and try to meet someone. But just make sure you're not going after a relationship thinking it's going to fix things, because that's not probably not the healthiest reason to enter a relationship. And then we have the Moon card. So the Moon card, things are a little bit confusing. Emotionally, you're just feeling a little out of sorts, and it may be because of this Ten of Wands. You're feeling a little overburdened and stressed and a little confused and out of sorts about things in your relationship. Or if you're single, you're a little just not right sure how to bring about the relationship you want into your life. So I'm going to go back to the Knight of Pentacles, because his energy is really wonderful. If you want to bring meaningful change into your life, this is the Knight is a wonderful Knight to look to, because Pentacles are very practical, they're methodical, they're slow and thoughtful. So they don't necessarily bring about fast change, although we do have this Eight of Wands in the back here. But he would sort of, if your relationship, if you're struggling and feeling overburdened, you may want to make a list and just sort of write down, to sort of organize your thoughts, things that may be stressing you out or you feel overburdened about, and getting them down on paper, and maybe brainstorm ideas of how to lighten your load. Or you both can do this exercise, because there may be things they feel overburdened about, and maybe when you sit down and really practically look at the list, you're like, and you realize how much they're really doing too. Maybe you'll be like, oh, maybe I'm not really doing as much as, or we're both overburdened. Maybe we can work together to both unburden ourselves so we can have a happier relationship or something like that. So this is trying to take real practical measures to sort of look at what's going on and assess it, with facts, with data almost, and then try to take tangible steps to make a difference. The Moon card in the relationship position, you have to, if you're emotionally feeling like something's off in the relationship, again, I feel like there's for some of us, obviously this isn't going to resonate with everyone, that there may be that tough conversation may need to happen this month with your relationship. And for some people, no matter how you approach it, it might not go well. But if you don't have it, you're never going to have the relationship you want. It's almost like you have to be willing to risk possibly the relationship breaking apart to have the relationship you want. And otherwise, is it even worth having? Does that make sense? Um, but I think once sort of things get out in the open and cleared up, so this confusion over the moon, this overburden, um, things will start moving really well. You won't feel as sort of stuck and tied down or weighed down by things, and things will start moving ahead very quickly in a very positive way. You see the sun coming up in the background, and this fresh energy will be able to come in. So let's pick a final card from the Earth Magic Oracle cards. And we got the Ocean card, which is ebb and flow. So, this makes me think that, there are ups and downs and times when we're feeling really good and times when we're not feeling so good. And, there's a cyclical nature. The tide comes in and out. And sometimes, we do need to sort of sit with the times that we're maybe not feeling so good and sit with it for a while and kind of look at our options and take some slow, practical steps towards change. But also realizing that sometimes, not everything's going to be sunshine and roses every day, and vice versa. Things aren't always going to be terrible. But there are probably some practical things you can do to make improvements, if you're in a situation where it just seems to be kind of stagnant in sort of a more negative energy. So I'm just going to leave it at that. If you have any ideas or thoughts about the reading, how it relates to you, I'd love to hear it below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next video. Take care.